To make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, good morning from Paradise Surfers. We have the entire surf crew in the house. Happy Monday morning. It is November 3rd. Is it Moonvember or is it Dumpvember? Let's just see how this all plays out. I was having a great weekend, Trump, out there last night, shilling crypto on 60 Minutes. Love to see it, love to see it. I'm thinking, okay, surely, after that terrible lack of an October, we must be looking at a strong November, surely. And then bam, we get a balancer hack this morning. The market's red again. Oh my goodness, ladies and gents, this game is not easy, but we never said it would be. So we will talk about the balancer hack, market structure. Is this signifying something more significant, something more structural, or are we looking at simply the reaction to a hack? We got some other great stories to cover for you guys today. But first and foremost, gents, well, I know, Nate, you probably don't celebrate Halloween anymore, so you're excluded from this conversation. But Nick, how was your Halloween, my good sir?
It was good. I broke out the golf cart and kind of followed Luca around. He went and hit the blocks. People are like, why the golf cart? Why not walk? Because you got to get to the houses that have the full-size candy bars. So you hit some houses, you pick them up, you go, 3-4 blocks on the road. You don't need to waste your time on the little peasants with only, one house on the block. So you got to get the good bars and the good toys, right? You got to be efficient with your trick-or-treating.
That's the lazy man's Halloween right there. No walking, just golf cart. Just golf cart. Okay. And Nate, I was kidding around. Does anyone do anything? Like, is there an Asian version of Halloween? Like, what's the deal there?
Yeah, Halloween's gotten very popular here. So there's some spots where like kids, it's more of an adult holiday, honestly, here. All the bars will have parties and stuff and people dress up and go out. But there is more and more kids that are starting to dress up, and there'll be areas where they can go out and do some trick-or-treating and things like that. So I went to a local bar, dressed up as a local. They have it's called, like, imagine Uber but for motorbikes. It's called Grab. They have out here. So I bought a Grab jacket and a helmet and dressed up like a local taxi driver, which they thought was pretty funny. Yeah. The drivers were actually really confused because I took a Grab to the bar, and the dude pulls up and he's like looking at me, and I'm trying to get on the bike. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like, and then yeah. He's like, "Oh wait, you're a white guy." And he's like,
"Oh." Not a lot of white guy Uber drivers or Grab drivers out there. That sounds like a great costume. No. Yeah, man, I love Halloween. I still think Halloween is one of the best holidays. I was having this discussion with my group chat. Like, when you're a kid, it's great. You're running around the neighborhood, you're grabbing candy, you're having a great time. When you're a teenager, it's also pretty fun. Maybe you're getting to some mischief, doing some, whatever mischievous things that you want to do when you're 13, 14. You get in your 20s, you're going out to parties, you're getting wasted, the girls all dressed up super slutty. Wow, isn't that fun? And even now as a dad, I still have fun watching my kids go around, having a good time. I got a couple beers. We're out with the parents. We're all having a good time. What an awesome holiday. But unfortunately, wake up this morning, and the market is red. It's red, red, red. We got a balancer hack to deal with. My goodness. So I don't know if we want to cover that story first. We have any further details on that? And do you guys think that is the reason for today's sell-off? Or is it something a little bit more meaningful and structural?
Nate, do you want to pull up that story, and then we'll see how it's impacting the charts? I would say, we see stock market is slightly green, NASDAQ slightly green, S&P 500 slightly green, Dow is slightly red. So for this sell-off, it would correlate that it probably has a lot to do with this news. For those of you who don't know, Balancer is a DeFi protocol that's been around since like the 2017 era. There is billions of dollars of TVL running on that, not only on the Ethereum chain, but remember this contract has been duplicated, replicated, and copied for other networks as well. So there is a ton of millions of TVL on Polygon, Arbitrum, and other chains as well. Even Barrachain shut down their entire network due to fears of the balancer hack. So I think a lot of this is less about the hackers selling the $70 million or $100 million they got, and more about uncertainty and fear of what it could mean for DeFi and all your other assets on these platforms.
Yeah, I think we had a little relief rally over the weekend. I was kind of expecting a dump to start the week. I think this hack just exacerbated things. People already super bearish. This whole weekend was just people talking about how they're rage quitting crypto in general. So any excuse that the market had to be red and to really, that was pretty wicked red candle there today. But I think this hack is definitely maybe the scapegoat. I don't know that whatever 90 million total that was hacked on there deserves a nearly 5% drop in Bitcoin. When markets are shaky like this, any kind of news can really have a massive impact.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Nate. The total dollar figure, first of all, it's all on Ethereum-based chain, so you wouldn't assume that would affect Bitcoin in any significant way. But then the dollar figure is actually, I know it sounds like a lot of money for average everyday folks, but if you just look at the volumes, the volumes on Ethereum, for example, on a day-to-day basis, we're going to be talking about billions and billions. So this really shouldn't move the markets. It's more of a pretext, maybe more of a story and excuse. If you look and you see what Binance is doing through Wintermute, you can see more selling going on. There's still more stories and evidence, I would say, of whales continuing to de-risk out of Bitcoin after they've held on for many years and made their billions. So that story, the consolidation, the great rotation, whatever you want to call it, that's been going on just continues. I think today's balancer story really shouldn't affect the markets too much. But yet here we are. And I just go back to the video that we released just early this morning. Buy, hold, or sell, guys. Those are your choices. You want to cheat out because you stop believing this asset class because the whales are selling or because Binance is manipulating or whatever other reason you think the 4-year cycle's intact and it's all over. Well, go ahead and sell. That's your right to do that. Buy more if you're a Chad, or do like me and, just hodl through the madness. Those are your 3 choices. I continue to hodl. And I hope you guys do too. I really do, because first of all, that's how you make in this space. Second of all, this is why you keep showing up each and every day. You're still in the markets. Good morning to all. Thank you for joining up. Yes, market has been rough lately. We've noticed. We have noticed. And yeah, I agree with you here, Rema. Must be having to do with the 4-year believers selling as well. I think that's very true. I don't know if those guys have as much, if your average everyday minnow, let's call it, selling a little bit of Bitcoin that they bought a couple of years ago, that does not affect the market as much as the guy that bought, 50,000 Bitcoins 10 years ago and is selling in for billions. But everything adds up, right? All the selling adds up, and you end up with this, 4 or 5 months consolidation period that we've been in. Buy, hold, or sell, gents. I continue to hold.
Yeah, and we look at the chart here. Ethereum is kind of sitting in a triangle here, but you do have a bullish divergence on the 4-hour. So you can see price went lower, RSI held, and neutral technometer. So it would make sense for some kind of a bounce. Is it a follow-through bounce? We shall see. But we do know the last time we had a bullish divergence on some assets, including Bitcoin, Aster, and others, we did see a couple-day rally, about 25% gains for the likes of Asters and altcoins, and about a 10% rally for Ethereum. So we shall see what happens here. But again, if you just come up here again, this is not a breakout. You got to get up and above these levels. You got to get into open territory in order to attack the 5,000. Otherwise, you just keep building a bigger triangle that just continues to look bearish and to the downside. So good thing that we're bouncing so far again for our bullish divergence, defending critical support. Otherwise, we can be doom and gloom and get below that 3,500 level. So we'll see if the bulls want to step in here and see if this balancer, I don't want to call it FUD because there was a hack, but this balancer fears can kind of get resolved. More information can come out on it, and we can know what is the systematic risk for crypto, and is there potential for many more tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto to hit the open market from hackers.
I'm hoping the market recovers at least a little bit. I do think we still have more downside. I think we got to sweep the lows from October, 103, 104, whatever that was at minimum. But I do hope, at least for the sake of Backstage, we get a nice little pump this week for their launch. But we were talking before the before the stream a little bit, kind of getting, Chain GPT style vibes. If you remember when the first real AI wave, which would have been what, 2022, 2023? I think it's 2023, that first AI wave that happened in the spring, the market was trashed then. Like, we were investing in some of these projects going, oh man, like, should we really be doing this? Like, everything's dead. Like, AI sounds kind of cool, but it's, nothing really popped off yet. And when they launched, they did okay. The market was still pretty bad. They didn't really take off. It took a couple months until the market built back up. But by then, when they did, I mean, ChangeGPT ended up doing like 100x or something from our what our allocation valuation was. But yeah, it took some time to build some momentum. But once it got going, we had a whole bunch of tokens unlocked, unless you were selling for when it was down cheaper. And then it became one of our best investments that we've made. So I hope markets do pick up, and Backstage can have a good launch here. If you watched any of the content we've made around them, from the tokenomics perspective, it's hard to lose. We need like a 600K market cap to get break even. And then it's house money. So my plan is what I've been talking about. To sit on and build up a nice bag while the markets catch back up, and Q1 next year, Q2 next year, when markets are ripping, I think we'll be sitting very pretty on these early stage investments that we can capitalize on here at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, this is Backstage right here. You do have a couple hours left, guys. Get 200,000 surf, get in the DAO, and there is a form in order to get in the Flash pre-sale round agreement that we have with them. So a couple hours to get that done if you want to do that. It's called the BKS token. Take a look. All the information is in the form and or videos in the DAO group. Kind of private information over there, but this is what we're talking about, and hopefully we can be bragging about this launch. It's supposed to happen on November 5th on exchange, additional tier 1 listings, and a decentralized exchange over on Base Chain, which we think could have a base season once the base airdrop happens. So, I mean, for all the due diligence that can be done in crypto, the website looks good, the backers look good, the team looks good. We've talked to them, saw their face, they sound knowledgeable, so we've kind of done all the due diligence as we can. And we know it's not pre-sale season by any stretch of the imagination. Right now we wake up and markets aren't great either. But the token economics look good, the utilities look good, and of course the investment round that we're in looks phenomenal. Many investors in this have a 2 to 6 month cliff, which means there's very little tokens on the open market for the start of this thing, and that's why you could see big upside.
Yeah, I also overall just am kind of starting to get more bullish on Base Chain. It's been kind of dormant, but in the last 4 to 6 months here, they've really had a lot of big announcements. They're going to have the token. Coinbase is starting to deploy money into the ecosystem. You've got the X402 trend, which we highlighted last week as one of the kind of degen alpha plays. If you're trying to find some what's the new meta that might pump even while the rest of the market's sideways and down, X402 is a hot trend. And Base is trying to quarter that whole market right now. They're trying to be the leaders in the X402 stuff. Got a few stories we can look at a little later on that. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of activity happening on Base Chain. Coinbase is making acquisitions, starting to deploy capital into the ecosystem. Brian Armstrong, yeah, one of the biggest names in crypto. If you think he's going to let the last 3 years that they've had the token live, they've been working on it for however many years, we'll say 5 years. Last 5 years of worth of work, and however many tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars they pumped into that ecosystem already. They're not just going to let that die off. So I think it's a matter of timing for them. Much like we think Richard Hart's waiting for ETH above 5K. Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, CZ at Binance, the money that Aptos had. All these big networks are sitting on a pile of cash right now. They're just waiting for the right market conditions to start deploying into the ecosystem. So I still see lots of big opportunities ahead.
Yeah, man, bullish on Backstage. Very thankful for that investment. I'm definitely getting ChangeGPT vibes. Not in terms of the fundamentals, the projects themselves are quite different. One was AI, one's RWA, but just the timing, right? Where everyone was very bearish actually on pre-sales, and you kind of hold your nose and make the investment. You're not so excited to make it. But ChangeGPT ended up being one of the best investments we've done in recent memory, 100x. Will Backstage get there? I don't know, but full disclosure, I personally invested into it. So we do have a bag. I know these guys are investing as well. So we will monitor that and hope it does well. And we'll continue to talk about it as well on the channel to do what we can to help out. So I wanted to circle back to the balancer story because it's just to me like, zooming out, right? Let's just zoom out for a second. There are still these DeFi related risks across the crypto atmosphere, the crypto space, I should say, that it's a hindrance to adoption. Let's just call it for what it is, right? Like innovation's great, okay. You can use different protocols to earn money in different ways, lending, borrowing. I think that's what Balancer was, if I'm not mistaken. Other platforms, bridges, so on and so forth. They all have security risks. So, I mean, for me, I just personally stay away from all that stuff. I'm in capital preservation mode right now. I don't want to take risks trying to like eke out. Full disclosure, I was staking ETH actually on chain, like full decentralized staking of ETH. I stopped doing that too because there's risk everywhere. And at a certain point, it stops making sense to take on too much risk. So if you're out there messing around with DeFi stuff, please just use a small amount of your overall portfolio. Use specific wallets that do not hold other assets there in them because you never know. A hack can happen. It can spill over and your wallet itself can be compromised. That does happen as well. Still the Wild West out there, folks. So just a reminder, this is always one of these, just these days, reminder that you never, you can't ever be too safe. You can't ever be too secure with your holdings and your assets. So please be safe out there, guys. It's still the Wild West.
Yeah, let's pull up the Bitcoin chart. Let's get back to some charts. We looked at ETH and just kind of saw how it was impacting that because Balancer is an ETH protocol. Let's look at Bitcoin. I mean, the last time we had a sell up here, of course, it ran a little bit higher, but things are lower. We have not given an official buy besides the one down here when we were live on air talking about what a bullish divergence on the 4-hour. Now, these things aren't always the exact lows, but historically, when you get bullish divergence on the 4 hours for the major assets, you see some kind of reversal. Now, that's because you have a bunch of algorithmic traders now. You have a bunch of people that are seeing the same things, and usually based on TA, these are good lows. So we saw it back here on the dip that Nate was talking about when we hit 103, 104,000. This was the exact low on Bitcoin and the exact high on gold. So we had the gold and Bitcoin rotation narrative plus a 4-hour bullish divergence, which sent us from 103 all the way up to $117,000, and now we are still trying to maintain in that consolidation period. So Nate is of the opinion that we probably sweep these lows again, which would make sense and would keep you above this downtrend line. So we'll see how it plays out. Right here, right now, there's not much to look at. You have a neutral indicator on the RSI and price. You have a neutral indicator on the technometer, and we're kind of just in wait and see mode in the normal consolidation period. I wish I had more information to give you, but I can't just make up stuff just to say it. On a bullish or a bearish formation, people are talking about this as being maybe a head and shoulders, and if you measured that, this would be your measured move. You would add that down here, and you would get down around $100,000 Bitcoin. So not much to go on right now. Everything is kind of neutral. Everybody's kind of waiting and seeing. The stock market's flat today. You got the balancer hack, which was affecting Ethereum, and now Bitcoin is just trying to hold the levels that it showed after this bullish divergence only a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if we get that 100K, 98K range, which I think is, not very possible yet to happen, the amount of capitulation we've seen over the last weekend, people are going to be shitting their pants and like really, really be bearish. But I mean, they're not going to make it easy for us, guys. Like we know that they're going to shake us out we haven't reached max pain yet. Like 110K, you're telling me is max pain. 107K is max pain. Like, come on. Where were you the last 3 cycles?
Well, maybe we hit max pain on what was it, October 10th when we had that giant crash out of the blue.
Yeah.
Maybe that was, and we've just been kind of, languishing after that. I don't know, but yeah, it is not going to be easy. It's absolutely, they never make it easy for you. But at the same time, it's like, sometimes you just have to step away and just, be thankful for what you have instead of wanting more at every moment in time. We're in a consolidation, guys. It is what it is. It is what it is. I do think there's some interesting macro stories coming down the pike that should provide significant tailwinds here. Obviously, the market structure bill, which we can get into in a sec. I was happy to see the president, Donald Trump, yesterday on 60 Minutes talking about crypto for an extended period of time. And I was hoping that, all right, got the president, 60 Minutes, huge platform. Maybe we see some normies buying in. Maybe we see some of his supporters buying in. I mean, this is an incredible thing. We have the President of the United States, the entire Republican Party behind this asset class. He's saying he wants to make the United States the crypto capital of the world. China's coming in, but he wants U.S. to remain number one. This is one of his main priorities, and yet we wake up to a red market. So what is it? Just that retail, they're out of cash. They're in the stock market. They don't care about crypto yet. They're not listening to Trump anymore when he talks about crypto. Why is it that the president is no longer moving markets when it comes to the price of the major crypto assets?
So I've been actually talked about this a little bit last week on a different live stream, because a lot of people are seriously frustrated with the state of things, especially in light of this has been the most bullish, not even year, 2 years, 3 years now. 2 years basically since Trump got elected in terms of actual news. The any time in the past, and we kind of hinted at this a bit last week, any time in the past where we would have had this many bullish news stories, every single one would have sent Bitcoin 10%, 20%, whatever. And here's a great example. Look at all these. This is from Chainlink partnerships. Look at all of these partnerships. This is within like the last month or two, right? This isn't ever. This is all the major banks in Europe, in Australia, in the US, they got the SWIFT, they've got, you name it, right? They're partnered with everybody. They're working with MasterCard and Visa and this and that and the other. But the price is languishing. It's down to like, it hit like $14 today or something with this dip. And everyone's like, this, Link looks like one of the best assets from a narrative perspective. Same thing. Why is Bitcoin? And Bitcoin has appreciated a lot, but it hasn't gone to where people want it. But Ethereum and all these other, there's Ethereum strategic reserve. We have all these legislation passing. It should be the most bullish environment ever. And the point I've been trying to make is that the cycle is different in a number of ways, and we know that. One of which is people are tired of the speculation without actual traction. Like that, all the other, everything in the past leading to this point, there really hasn't been the adoption compared to the narrative with this wild blow off tops and alts and stuff. None of these alts, like look at the alts from last cycle that like blew up, like AVAX and they're dead. They didn't have any actual adoption. They didn't have an actual use case. And people, I think, are just worn out on betting on speculation and speculation alone. Everything that has happened and everything that's being talked about happening in this year, it's extremely bullish. All of the positive sentiment with nation states buying, the U.S. passing regulation and guidelines on how crypto can launch, all this banking stuff, all the stablecoin stuff, but none of it has affected downflow yet. It takes time. When a bill goes into action, it doesn't day one, all of a sudden now there's trillions of dollars flowing into whatever is now legal or the new infrastructure that's made. It takes time to build stuff. It takes time for the money to flow into things. Just because Link got a partnership with BNY Mellon doesn't mean that BNY Mellon is using Link services yet and buying Link to power their oracles. It takes time for all of these partnerships, all of this infrastructure that's being built, all of these bills that are getting passed, all of these nations that are going to start building strategic reserves, etc. It takes time, not weeks, months, years. So like all of this stuff is extremely bullish. But the market's matured enough to the point where, and I think this is overall in the long term a good thing, where just these speculative news events, like people are like, yeah, we don't care. We want to see real results. We want to see transaction volume. We want to see money moving on chain. We want to see real businesses generating revenue with these partnerships, right? And that's gonna take time. All the stuff that's happened this year and last year with all this stuff that we've talked about on the show week after week, day after day, all very, very bullish. And it will have a major, major impact downstream at some point. But the market isn't just gonna pump on speculation anymore. We need time for these partnerships, these bullish regulatory rulings to take effect. And that's when we'll start seeing these pumps. And that's why, again, I'm more bullish on Q1, Q2 next year is that, some of this stuff is actually going to start spooling up. We're going to see some money coming into stablecoins. We're going to see some money, Ethereum transaction volumes benefiting. We're going to see Link partnerships spinning up. We're going to see real dollars start to move on chain from these institutional TradFi plays. And we're going to have some actual bills passed in the U.S. And take effect to where they can directly impact the numbers where we need it most.
So I guess what Nate's saying is we are all pre-rich, guys. We are pre-rich. Despite
we're still pre-rich.
Rome's hurting. I mean, Rome's at max pain. A lot of us are at max pain, I think, right now. I mean, it's hard to imagine getting any worse. If you've been holding altcoins, certainly, or even Bitcoin is struggling. We're down majorly. Last couple of months, market has been a disaster. Rome, my only winner last couple of months, and that one dumped today too. By the way, we're looking into that. We're asking the team what happened, trying to get some more information on it. But that one did sell off in a massive dump overnight. So who knows? But the market is a bit of a disaster in the present term. But got to think long term with investing, and you got to have to get through the storms a little bit here and think about the bigger picture. We have some bullish news. I mean, look at this market structure law aiming to be passed by Thanksgiving. Nate or Nick, what do you guys know about this bill? Do you think it's done by Thanksgiving, and what's the impact on the prices of crypto?
I don't have any information on the bill. I'll let Nate cover that. But Martin over here did say Max Payne was a gain in a movie. No more pain, please. At first, I thought he was talking about Major Payne, which is a great movie. I probably need to watch Major Payne today to get some laughs while the markets are selling off. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's time to find a good Netflix show. Maybe get back into working out. That's always a good thing. Maybe spin up another hobby. I don't know. Call an old friend you haven't spoke with in a while. Good time to get your eyes away from these markets because, it is painful. It is painful indeed. But let's shift gears. Let's shift something positive here. This market crypto, this comprehensive crypto law, I don't know, Nate, you have more information on it. What do you think gets done?
I don't. Let's leverage Grok here.
There you go.
Let's see what this is meaning to do. There's been so many of these different acts, and we know that the names of these things are often misleading in what they actually do. So let's find out. Let's get a little info here. All right, pro crypto, blah blah blah, stablecoin.
We already got the Genius Act, right? So this is this is part 2 of it. It's my understanding. It's they call it comprehensive legislation around crypto and digital assets. So it's going to govern how to launch. Yeah, they're calling it the Clarity Act, right? How to launch a coin, which government agency is going to govern and regulate this asset class, right? There's a push among the Republicans anyway to have it governed by the CFTC, not the SEC, which had been more hostile to crypto. And I'm sure there's plenty more details around it. But my understanding is there is a good chance it's going to get done by November. Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, out there, doing videos saying he's been in Capitol Hill, meeting with the senators. The Dems and Republicans are 90% there. They're aligned on this, that, the other. So I do think it happens. I do think it gets done hopefully by Thanksgiving. I don't know, to Nate's point, whether, the day after, let's just call it December 1, whenever they get it passed, that, you all of a sudden see trillions flowing in the asset class. That's not how it works. These things do take time. Laws to get passed, and then for infrastructure get set up, partnerships set up for capital to start flowing in. But I do think it gets done. It sounds like 90% of the way there. And this is it. Yeah, the Clarity Act.
So it is the Clarity Act. I thought they made it sound like it was a different bill. And apparently the Clarity Act has passed the House, but not the Senate. So it's going to go to vote in the Senate. That's what's going on.
They're meeting with the senators, and something's going to get done. I mean, it sounds like there's support behind it. Obviously, we know the president's happy to sign that bill once it's ready, and put on his desk. So there's no impediment there. But I'm obviously very bullish on the sort of the political and the regulatory side of crypto. It hasn't yet translated into prices, and I just keep going back towards, there's enough guys. Apparently, there's about 10,000. I was watching another analyst talk about this very problem. There's about 10,000 mega whales out there. And, they're slowly all floating and de-risking, and maybe not selling everything, but they're selling enough that it's suppressing the price. And even with Wall Street ETFs and Michael Saylor and perhaps some regular retail Joes buying in, all we have to say for it is, a bit of a consolidation period for the past, 3 to 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, this year's been weird, and I think that goes with our thesis that we have the chance of an extending 5-year cycle rather than 4-year cycle. Because sell in May and walk away did not work, with May 11%, June being green, July being green, September being green. But now we had a red October. It was green until that shakeout that we had down to 103 or whatever. Finished red, and now November so far with the sell-off today is down 1.76%. Obviously, a lot of time left in November, so let's see what happens the remainder of this year. Obviously, Thomas Lee and a lot of people think stocks go higher. They're continuing to go higher, and so far, Bitcoin and Ethereum have not caught up to what they normally do with stocks, and really the Bitcoin trend for following and catching up to gold needs to start happening and continue through this month of November with that 80-day lag. It has done that so far, as like we said, October 16th was the exact top of gold, and October 17th so far has been the exact bottom of Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin does drop below that low, then then the rotation theory and history of gold, Bitcoin chasing gold on an 80-day lag comes into question as well. So everything points to, hey, Bitcoin's got to get going right here, right now, this month. But we'll see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rule that says it has to get going right here and now. It could just decide to just disappoint us for a while longer, and then shake out more of the Jeets and the non-believers, and then all of a sudden in 26. It explodes, and we end up, running 200,000 plus in, March or April of that year. I think that scenario is in play too. Or look, we could all be wrong, and we never had a blow off top, but yet somehow, 4-year cycle still in play, and now we're in for a multi-month or year-long bear market. Really nobody knows at this point. My money and my conviction remains on a longer 5-year trend into 26. I do think we end November green. I think we end December green. I don't know if we hit those heady heights of 200,000 plus Bitcoin this year. My target's around the $150,000 mark. So I am still bullish. I think all the news catches up. I think the whales run out of steam. I think Binance starts to manipulate the price up rather than down, and retail will FOMO in when prices start to get green again. So we're not all hope is lost, ladies and gents. We are still bullish, but it has not been easy.
No, I'd imagine that they're not gonna make it easy. So I mean, even if we do see a green November, even if we do see some life before the end of the year, expect more nastiness Q1. They're gonna, they're gonna continue to manipulate things. They're gonna continue to make this weird and challenging. But if you stick it through, who knows when the cycle is going to officially end, but I do think we have some green pastures ahead of us yet.
Yeah, normally it's like the biggest green days in Bitcoin is like 10 days a year, and so far we have not had really any explosive months during the year 2025. I know Bitcoin is above 100,000, but if you look at 2025, these are not big months for Bitcoin standards or crypto standards, to say the least. Ethereum's only had a couple really big months, and that's only because it fell as low as $1,500, and it had a couple big months on its way back up to this $4,000 range. But as far as the bull market peak indicators, 0 of 30 have been triggered so far for Bitcoin. That's why it's hard to believe that the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is still underway, and that we're going to top somewhere, or that the top has already happened, when none of these indicators got frothy. Like Crypto Armor said, normally you need to see froth for there to be major tops, just like we even saw in gold, which is the largest asset in the world. We saw froth there. You haven't seen froth on Bitcoin. You definitely haven't seen froth on ETH, and of course we haven't even seen the froth starting to be poured into the glass for altcoins. So this would be a crazy cycle if the top is in fact in, where there's just no euphoria for crypto, but the largest asset in the world, gold, had people lining up around the streets to buy it at the highs.
Yeah, that's why we didn't hit a top, guys. We did not hit a top without any kind of euphoria and no, blow off top. That just doesn't make any sense at all. Plan B gets it. Rome gets it. Similar to the indicators Nick just showed, this is the same story. A Plan B TA is solid. I absolutely agree with that. He's nailed it for multiple cycles now, and we're nowhere near the top. I mean, I think that's absolutely correct. And you know what else is correct from Jay? Patience is a virtue. Absolutely. I know we talk about this being hard, and it kind of is. I mean, it kind of is. But also, it kind of doesn't have to be. Because, again, you can just sort of wait, be ultra patient, and eventually things do turn bullish again. And eventually prices go up. Talk to the guy who has $5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Do you think he sold every time there was a downturn, or into a little time there's a 20% pump? No, of course not, because they wouldn't have any Bitcoin left. He held on. Patience is a virtue. Reaping his rewards 10 years later. So, yes, I know it's hard in the day-to-day. We talk about the price, talk about the news stories, but zoom out. It really doesn't have to be that hard if you just hold and you're just patient.
Well, Ted Pillows, we like Ted as well. Good analyst here. We post a lot of his articles and talk about him quite a bit on the live stream here. You know, he agrees as well. You know, the saying the 4-year cycle is broken. You know, like we say a lot, first of all, we had a new all-time high before the halving, which has never happened before. Uptrend for Bitcoin has been very much sustained, unlike in past cycles. And along with that, Bitcoin's been consolidating above 100K for almost 6 months, which really doesn't happen during a blow-off top. So, you know, he says, I don't want to rule out a correction, but 60-70% crash doesn't seem likely. You know, again, we could play out a scenario where we continue to be trading more. Bitcoin continues to be trading more and more like an ETF, where we crawl up 20-30%, have a sideways consolidation, maybe even a pullback, 20-30%. And then back up again for another leg up for 4 to 6 months and repeat. So that could be what we're doing right now. We could be looking at a little pullback here, and then the next 6 months, first 6 months of the year, 2026 are up and to the right again. So the market has changed. We just gotta adapt with it. You know, all suck. We know that. But there's going to be a new cycle trend that emerges, and if you're staying locked in, you know, you're going to be one of the first ones to discover it. Another thing that I think is interesting, you know, we talk a lot about holding, diamond handing and holding, never selling Bitcoin, never selling Ethereum, and sometimes that's in a bit of an ingest. Maybe we talk, must sell it 10, 20 years down the road, but if you look at how the wealthy people all around the world, they don't ever sell their assets. Everything they do is debt financed. They never touch their assets. They're rolling assets into new assets, and they're living off of debt financing because it's not taxable. Well, we're like this close. In fact, technically, there are banks that now will loan against your Bitcoin. So the idea of never having to sell your Bitcoin is becoming more real. And so what does that mean? You should be begging for a dip on Bitcoin here so that you can buy more. So you can buy more Ethereum because you're never going to sell. You're just going to continue to DCA, buy more and more, stack it up, because in the next couple of years here, as the popularity of Bitcoin grows, as the institutionalization of this industry continues, you're going to never have to sell that. And you're going to be able to leverage it for cash, for daily needs, for buying other assets, for doing whatever. Study how the rich people the wealthy, not the rich, the wealthy people around the world, all around the world do the same thing. They all use debt financing. Well, that's going to be available to all crypto holders very soon for assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, hey, if your plan is to never sell, you should be thanking lucky stars for a nice little dip here to DCA a little further and get some more Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Amen, brother. Amen. I know that already the debt finance is already available. At least JP Morgan, I believe it was announced that they will allow their customers to receive loans against the value of their Bitcoin and ETH. I don't know if that's in full effect yet, if there's still some architectural or sort of custody issues to work out, but it is coming. It is absolutely coming. And by the way, even for those who are like, well, I'm a small player, I'm not a whale, I don't have multiple Bitcoins, I won't be able to do this. Well, regardless, it's still good for you, because if the whales no longer have to sell in order to finance their lives or get cash, whatever, then that sell pressure just disappears. So when guys like Michael Saylor say, if you knew what I knew, you would buy Bitcoin now because it's going to $10 million in the next 15 years or whatever, starts to make a lot more sense when guys like that say this, because you no longer have whales selling if they can turn to a place like JP Morgan to get a loan based on their Bitcoin.
100%, yeah.
Part of
always trying to find a silver lining. It sucks where the markets are doing what they're doing, but trying to find a positive spin for us.
Right, and the only part of the market that's been doing any kind of thing is literally privacy coin. Zcash went to another new all-time high over the weekend, hitting $450 per token. That is an 11x since the low back in August. Pretty wild. And then, of course, Zen did the same thing. New high for the move, hit $22. A sell-off today, right back to previous high. this is where you'd want to see support come in for the privacy sector as well. Also, Dash is another one from 2017 that was one of the top gainers on CoinMarketCap over the past week, outperforming even Zen and Zcash. So I don't know what's going on there, but that sector keeps being a big narrative, and a lot of people are saying, well, this is how big Bitcoiners and big whales are actually rotating out of Bitcoin into the privacy, and that way they can kind of shield their wallets and get out scot-free, tax-free. I don't know how true that is, but we did see Arthur Hayes believing in that Zcash will take 10 to 20% of the market value of Bitcoin, and he just bought some more at the highs this weekend, which is pretty wild to say.
Arthur Hayes' predictions are always a little out of left field, a little wild. I respect the guy, obviously. Brilliant financier and built one of the most successful exchanges. His price predictions have always caused me to raise an eyebrow a little bit. But yeah, this is to me a momentum trade at this point. The privacy coins doing well. I don't think it's based on really much substantive or fundamental, whatever you want to call that. I think it's just someone started buying, whales started buying, they orchestrated a marketing campaign, price go up because everything else is doing shitty. And people like to chase those green candles, and so you have the one asset and the one asset class doing well. Well, there everyone starts selling out whatever else they have to fumble into that trade. So, but yeah, I mean, it could be that the Bitcoin whales are using the privacy coins to obfuscate their gains or whatever. But to me, it's a momentum trade, and good for you if you got in early. I wouldn't fumble in now, but hell, I said that on Friday and it's up again. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. You know, when the markets are like this, people are so hungry for any kind of gains. When some sort of narrative gets traction, it usually gets pretty hot pretty quick and pulls up other tokens like it. We've seen this in the meme game. We've seen this with AI tokens. We've seen this with, 1,000 narratives in the past. What kicked off the privacy tokens getting hot again could have been any number of things. A lot of stuff going on in Europe that's pretty not fun. That could have been some reason for some Europeans to start buying some privacy coins. Maybe that's the start of the trickle into these coins that, like you said, caused this momentum trade to kick off. But two stories coming out of Europe. First one, France about to vote to tax large crypto holdings, calling them unproductive wealth. So unrealized gains tax, basically. You have your money parked in a wallet or on an exchange, haven't sold it, haven't done anything with it, haven't made any money off of it. But you're going to start paying taxes on it regardless because Europe's broke and they're morons. They're greedy, corrupt. Morons isn't correct. They know exactly what they're doing, but they're certainly corrupt. And then Ursula von What's-Her-Bucket talking about how great it's going to be, all the things you're going to be able to do with the digital euro and how it's going to be so great for everyone. I just gotten tons of backlash, as imagined, all over crypto Twitter. Talking about, well, what does this mean in reality? It means that, also how they're printing what's the carb emission credit points on your sandwich at 7-Eleven that you're buying at the gas station that's linked to your digital ID, which is linked to the digital euro. Oh, if you have too many carbon credits for this week, sorry, your transaction to buy that sandwich isn't going to go through. You're going to have to go buy the bug protein, the Soylent instead, or, oh, you've driven too much this month. We think you're, using too much gas, so you're not going to be able to pump your gas, or, all these other these dystopian reality type stuff that's coming true in front of our eyes in Europe. That as they try to paint a happy face on it, say, oh, it's going to be great for all this stuff. Another thing, when you look into the details here, this is one of the other things people have been pointing out. They're talking about capping your limit at $3,000 a person, just like they've tried to do with other asset spending. In the U.S., they had a bill where they're trying to monitor if you're spending more than $600. They want to be able to look at how much crypto you're holding and regulate how much crypto you can hold in Europe. And now they're going to, regulate how much money you can keep in your wallet, how much of a certain asset you can hold, even when it comes to the digital euro. Again, limiting what you can spend and where you can spend it. So that's not a world that I want to live in. Maybe that's a good reason to have some Zcash or DAS or Monero or Zen or whatever else is out there. That's scary stuff, man. And this isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is actively being passed and pushed forward all over Europe right now, all over the EU. So we're out of the conspiracy theory world and into reality with what's happening with this stuff right now.
I don't know how we got to this point. It's literally like a Black Mirror episode. I don't get it. And then you have in China where you have those cities now, the 4-minute cities, where in order to exit, you have to like get your face scanned so they know exactly where you're at, where you're leaving, what you're doing. It's pretty, I don't know. It's crazy. And what's crazy to think is this isn't that far off from the United States. If you remember, one of the voting cards for the Democrats, for Kamala Harris, was to do unrealized capital gains tax on your stock holdings. So this is crypto. Imagine unrealized gains tax on your stock holdings. That is insane. That is literally what Kamala was running on. So we were only 200,000 votes away from that becoming a reality as well. Scary times ahead. Not many countries are, standing up and fighting. Hopefully more fight. I know Italy is doing a good job. Argentina, El Salvador, United States, with Trump is standing up. But I mean, Canada's in a pretty shitty situation. UK's in a dire situation. And many countries in the EU are falling to this. Illegal immigration, this kind of CBDCs, all kinds of craziness. And I think there's only a couple countries in the EU that is standing up. Mainly Italy is, Poland, and a few others. So it is crazy. The walls are caving in on us, Western civilization. The walls are caving in on privacy. The walls are caving in on financial freedom. It's wild.
There needs to be a backlash. People need to stand up. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you're in Europe, you cannot stand for this. Do not vote for the socialist parties. This is what it always leads to. It always leads to government controlling your lives, your finances, taxing you to death, to then hand that money over to the state to distribute it to however they see fit. And normally it ends up like the disaster we have in the U.S. with, how many millions of people are on these EBT SNAP benefits?
42 million.
42 million people. And now
a bulk of those, it's only like 25% of them are even American born. 75% of the SNAP goes to non-American legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. That is disgusting and that is crazy, but that's the trend you're heading. And imagine what those numbers would look like if Kamala won.
In Europe, you talk about, don't vote for the socialists, don't vote for people. Most of the people that run the EU, which are imposing these laws, not the individual countries, you can't vote for them. Ursula von What's-Her-Bucket, she was elected by the other body of the UN. She wasn't voted for by the citizens in Europe. A lot of these people at the top of the UN and the WEF and all these other organizations that are controlling these things in Europe, they're not elected. These are non-elected officials.
That's also a travesty as well. I agree. The EU, interesting experiment, veered into socialism, into dystopian reality, and clearly not democratic whatsoever. Flies in the face of everything Europe was founded on, and people need to stand up and say no. Just like people in the good city of New York need to stand up and say no to Zohran Mamdani, because it's the same bullshit. Yeah. It's the same, I want to tax the rich. He's talking about how even if you no longer live in New York, if you're a company that moves out of New York, but you do any kind of business still in New York, he's going to tax you at a higher rate. And he's going to use that to fund the bums that want to ride the free buses. You guys really want to live in that world? Do you guys really want to live in the world where they can just take, and then take your money and then give it to some undeserving bum on the street, or some person that hasn't worked in 20 years because they're getting $2,500 a month in EBT benefits because they had 6 kids and never want to work a day in their life? Is that the world that you guys want to live in? I certainly don't. I'm glad I left that hellhole of a city. Fortunately, I do have to go back in every so often, see friends.
You're still pretty close. You're not that safe.
I don't look forward to, Mamdani's New York City, but it's kind of like you reap what you sow, people. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting experiment. I think people are going to remember, oh, wait, socialism does not work. It never has worked in any of its iterations. It's not going to work here in New York. And every so often, people are reminded by that with a little smack upside the head. So that's what's going to happen here in New York unless people get their shit together and don't vote Mamdani in, but unfortunately it looks like that's what's going to happen, and you reap what you sow, New York.
That's pretty crazy. I wonder how that affects overall markets. I'm hoping that this is a 2016 Trump situation where the polls are just all wrong on Mamdani winning. But the problem is, Cuomo ain't much. Andrew Cuomo isn't much better. He's the same fucking thing. I mean, I would never say, hey, vote for him if it wasn't for Zohran. That's the problem with a lot of these elections. It happens in Chicago, LA, San Francisco. It's like, okay, our election is 4 Democrats. They all fucking suck, but one's a socialist, so I guess you got to vote for the other shitty Democrat. I mean, it's just, you get no solution when nobody else can get even close. That's the
Well,
problem.
this is, I mean, what Zoran's proposing is absolutely
insane.
Cuomo's
That's why I'm
running
saying
now.
I would even say go vote for Cuomo, even though he's a
course.
terrible fucking person too. But Zoran literally wants to make buses free, and they're like, why would you do that? Well, it makes it safer for the bus drivers if they just don't have to ask for the 50 cents from the people getting on as a fare. It's like, what? That is insane of a reaction. And then they're like, well, how are you going to raise the $9 billion? Well, we're going to raise this tax by 2% and that tax by 2%, and that will cover it, or that'll be at least $3 billion. It's like, that's terrible. Raise taxes because you're afraid that bus drivers might be attacked by people who don't want to pay to get on the bus. And you just like appease that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's madness. People need a reminder that it's madness. There's unfortunately a lot of people out there who are takers. They're not makers. They are takers. And when you have a city full of takers, well, you get socialist policies, but then, of course, they never work. People realize that after 4 years and go, okay, I guess we go back to capitalism now. Maybe I should get a job and not be a bum. But, yeah, New York will be underwater soon, perhaps. I mean, I don't worry about New York over the long term. I do still think it'll be a financial and cultural capital, whatever you want to call it. But in the interim, in the near term, I mean, if you have enough high earners, and you have enough corporations that up and leave. A lot have left for Florida. A lot have left for Texas. Most of the white-collar work can be done remotely, people. You don't need to be sitting in an office in New York. You can do that in Texas, Florida, or wherever else. The smart companies, they will continue to flee. And then where's the money to tax? Zoran, where's the money to tax to give free shit to all the bums? It just doesn't make sense. So
that's exactly what happened in San Fran and LA too. They thought they're gonna be able to raise the tax on the mansion tax or whatever it was and raise $9 billion, and they only came up with like 2.5 because why? A lot of people who own those just simply left. Nobody to pay the tax. You're not going to get the tax money that you think you're going to raise. So,
it's obvious. It's obvious stuff. I don't get where the liberals are like missing the plot here, but it's pure insanity from my standpoint. And look, I don't think anyone's sitting here saying if you're truly disabled, you can't work because you got an illness or some shit like that. Okay, that's one thing. But there are people living off basically the government for decades, for generations. This is going on. And if you think that helps anyone, if you think you're helping someone by just being completely dependent on the government, you're absolutely wrong. Everyone who can work should work. It provides purpose in life. It gives you meaning. It gives you confidence. It makes you feel good about yourself. You become a good role model for the kids and the people around you. There's almost nothing good about long-term reliance on the government. I won't say nothing good about it. And it needs to stop. It really needs to stop. So for those who can vote, should vote, get out there. I'll be texting my friends. Some of them still live in New York. Hopefully they're not voting for Mom Donnie. But if you do, you deserve all the shitty shit that's about to happen to the city.
It's wild, man. Like, just the fact that he's even allowed to run is insane to me. Like, he's only been a U.S. citizen for what, like 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, something like. Hasn't been very long. He literally is like you couldn't have made it like a cartoon character of a plant to come in and subvert a foreign government than this dude. Like, grew up super wealthy family in Uganda. Obviously, like, who knows what his parents did in Uganda? He's not clearly a Ugandan. Grew up in Uganda, super wealthy, like one of the most richest people in the country. Studies super far left socialist communist politics, and then gets shipped over to New York specifically to become a citizen so he can run for mayor. Like, there's no other countries.
And by the way, he's never had a job. The dude never had a job outside of like
didn't grow up here,
and then like having a staff of 5 at whatever lower using from assemblyman. It's ridiculous that people do want to vote for him. But hey, free stuff, guys. The rich are too rich. This is what it is. Media keeps bombarding with these messages. The rich are too rich. And yes, the rich are very rich, but, Jeff Bezos, Jensen Huang, Bill Gates, all these super rich dudes, they create a lot of wealth, yes, for themselves, but also for other people. Let's not forget that, right? Let's not forget all the shareholders and all the millionaires that those guys minted through their hard work. So, yes, there are a lot of rich people, but that's just how capitalism works. There's too many rich people. I want free stuff. Well, here comes Mom Donnie. I'm going to give you all the free stuff by taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Good luck, man. We'll see how that worked every other time. And the scary thing, too, is you can't have a socialism system work without massive government control. So do you want to be living in essentially like a China situation where they're monitoring everything, or Europe situation, the future dystopian world they're trying to create over there, where they have central bank digital currencies and they monitor and track everything. They don't let you spend this, that, the other. No freedom. Do you want to live in that world of no freedom just so you can have your free bus? Good Lord, it's complete insanity.
Well, yeah, don't forget about government ran supermarkets is what they want as well.
Yeah, that's
going to go well. Yeah, good luck.
I mean, come on.
Price control on everything. Yeah.
Look, I get New York is very expensive. I used to live there. But you know what the solution is to you not being able to afford New York? Leaving New York. I did it. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't live the lifestyle I wanted to live. I had to live in a tiny little box. You tiny little apartment, spending tons of money. You go to the grocery store, everything's mad expensive. But yeah, that's just because that's how New York is and how it will always be. You can't fix that problem without, I mean, you have to build a lot more. That's really the solution, but no one wants to do that. They want to build, but have a caveat, well, you got to build X amount for the poor people. It's a complete mess. The only way to solve it, if you're struggling in New York, get up and leave. Just get up and leave. If the city's too expensive for you and you can't make it there. That's what I did. No shame. No shame. I lived there 10 years. I left. It's fine. But anyway, I digress a little bit. This stuff scares me. It all relates to crypto. It all relates back to Bitcoin. I don't think, though, that the New York City mayoral election will affect the markets per se. But it will affect New York and the financial markets there. It won't affect crypto in any way, I don't think, unless he starts to decide to come after that or something like that. But I don't think. Do you think any of these elections, these local elections, end up affecting Bitcoin or crypto, or it's just?
I don't know. I really don't know what kind of power the mayor has. I know New York is already super strict on crypto anyway, so having a far left liberal probably doesn't help those regulations. But again, I don't know how much power the mayor really has truly. And the only reason we even talk about this is because New York City used to be one of the greatest cities in the entire world. It's supposed to still be one of the greatest cities, and it was really the financial capital of America. So when you have socialism in the financial capital of America, that really can't poise a good future for the finance of America. And America's supposed to be the global financial giant in the world. It's supposed to have the #1 economy just above China. And these type of peoples do not collaborate with capitalism, with investing, with financial future, with privacy. It just doesn't happen, and I don't like the trend. The problem is, you get the mayor of New York, and then you see what's going on in Minneapolis with all the Somalians and EMR and all these, and all of a sudden you look up and you're like, holy shit, they're taking over some of the biggest cities in the entire nation with socialist propaganda and with anti-American rhetoric. Not good.
The reality of the situations in cities like, Minneapolis and New York, which is going to be absolutely just hilarious to see, is hilarious in like you're an idiot that everyone knew this was going to happen. Not, we don't want to see people suffering, but as they continue to run these cities in the ground and New York gets worse and worse and worse and nobody wants to live there. Well, guess what? All those rich executives that you're protesting against, that you're so mad about, guess what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to give them even more money to get them to stay in that shithole city to work on Wall Street. So the guys you set out to take down a peg because they're making too much money are going to end up making double the money they were before because no one's going to want to live in New York. And the only way you're going to get them to work on Wall Street is if you continue to raise their salaries. So it's like
the other silver lining too, assuming Mamdani wins, which look 94% chance according to Poly Market. So I definitely think he's going to win. Sadly enough, he is going to be an absolute poster child for the Republicans to showcase to the rest of the country who are not far left radical liberals like they have in New York. These are most of the country are much more moderate, right? Showcase how insane Mamdani is. Meanwhile, all of the big name Democrats have coalesced around him. If I'm not mistaken, Obama has now come out and supported him. We know AOC, Bernie Sanders, Hakeem Jeffries, like all these people have come out to support Zoran. So Zoran is now the figurehead of the Democratic Party, is he not? Right? This is the direction of the party. And the rest of the country is going to go, this is insanity. We don't want any of this, and therefore I'm voting for J.D. Vance or whoever's coming next on the national stage. So long term, I think this ends up, you can say, are you voting well for the entire country? Near term, very bad for New York. So let's just see how it all plays out. But he's a poster child for the left at this point.
Well, I like that. That's a very good point. But what if it's another 4D chess move by Trump, and he's a Trump plant purposely put into New York to ruin it, to become the whipping boy from the left to make the right look even better.
I wish. It's not I think there's that much power.
I think Trump has too much real estate in New York and is going to lose even more money if Zoran gets in power.
Yeah, no, Trump doesn't want this. No one wants this. And even on the interview last night, he said like, I don't like Cuomo, whatever this, that, the other, but you know, you got to vote for Cuomo, is what Trump said. I mean, because Zoran's a communist. So this is craziness. This is craziness. All because poor people want free stuff. That's really what it comes down to. It all sounds great, but the money has to come from somewhere, guys. And if you take from too many of the rich, they end up leaving, and there's no money to be had, and your city becomes an absolute shithole. So good luck to everyone here in New York. I do think that the financial markets will react basically with a shrug of the shoulders tomorrow, assuming he does win. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out for the long term. Baguito's late. That's okay, my friend. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on here in the States and the mayor of New York. That election is tomorrow. We've been talking about that here for a while. Other political stories and how it relates to privacy coins, Bitcoin, etc. I don't know if we have any other stories for today before we jump off.
I think
I think that's really about it. We're
an hour in.
Yeah, we're touching base on CZ. Posted that he used personal funds to buy Aster. That gave it like a 10% pump. But in the face of the red markets today, Aster back below $1. Once again, that's one we've been warning you about since when it was 210. We said if it goes below $2, it's going to get ugly, and that's hit a low of 84 cents, and right now it's back down to 93 cents. So that one can't find a footing, even with CZ publicly saying he's buying it.
You know, dude, it's impossible to swim upstream when the market's bearish like this. Isn't that the clearest case in point that you can't swim upstream? CZ himself, the most powerful, the richest, the mega microphone, owns the biggest exchange, blah, blah, blah. He can't even get a coin to pump for more than 12 hours. I mean, this is just the market that we're in for altcoins, ladies and gents. So, again, buy, hold, or sell. Those are your choices. I shall continue to remain bullish in the long term and continue to hodl my Bitcoin. Baguito's got a great question here, obviously veering into the political, but I don't know the details too much other than what I see on the news and social media. Apparently there is an absolute massacre and genocide happening of, 500,000 Christians?
That's like per year. There's hundreds of thousands per year, and mainstream never talks about it.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane and horrible, and your heart goes out to these innocent people being slaughtered, men, women, and children. It's just the saddest thing. So I agree. I mean, you can't... This is a real genocide. This is not like Israel reacting to being attacked on October 7th and sadly innocent people killed in the crossfire of that war. This is like a concerted systematic effort to wipe out a population of people. I don't know if you can stand by and just let that happen. I don't love foreign interventions, but to me it's like, the government of Nigeria can't stop it. Shouldn't somebody?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I don't know. Obviously you good people. What's the quote? All it takes for evils to succeed is good men with power to sit by and do nothing. So on one hand, if you have the power to stop that, you want to, but I'm also not like you said, I'm not a big fan of Uncle Sam playing world police. So tough to pull the trigger on that. But at the same time,
what Trump is trying to do is sort of compel the government in Nigeria to step up and protect their own people. I mean, that's the job of the government, to protect your people from just getting killed and murdered. That's the number one thing government should be doing is health and safety of your citizens. So compel the government there to do what they can to stop it. If the government for some reason cannot take on these raging bands of warlords and maniacs, then I guess maybe we step in and do something. But it's funny, there's always unintended consequences to something like that. So you go in, you start killing, and these are Muslim, you end up killing, look, Americans going in and killing Muslims again, and then all of a sudden backlash, and who knows what kind of terror attack
in the
happens.
third largest oil producing country in the world, everyone's like,
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. I think the biggest thing too is it's like I don't know if you step in. Well, I don't know what the solution is, but essentially it's like you said. It's been decades of Muslims over there killing Christians for their religious beliefs, and then yet these are the very people that we let in with open arms here illegally and legally, and then subsidize them with our government tax dollars when we're a Christian country. So make that make sense. I don't get it. Sharia law is devastating for anybody, so I don't know why the left even loves Sharia law because they hate gay people, they hate transgenderism, and they hate women. So none of it makes sense to me. I don't get it. And that's just the way of the world, I assume. And we just got to keep swimming upstream the best we can, live the best life we can, come on here and give us our opinion. But at the end of the day, we're just one voice. People need to stand up and vote otherwise. We did the best we could. I mean, I lost a lot of friends and stuff, endorsing Trump over Kamala. And obviously, it's the best decision that I could have made for the circumstance. And it's playing out overall pretty well for how it impacts my life in this country. But a lot of places in the world haven't had that stand-up moment yet. Argentina has. They're doing well, turning it around. El Salvador has. They're turning it around. Italy has. We'll see how that goes over the next couple of years. But it's a crazy world out there. And again, it goes to what you said. It's like suicidal empathy. The very people that are killing, what this country is built on, by the hundreds of thousands in Nigeria, you welcome here with open arms, and you're about to elect one in New York City, the greatest city in your entire nation. I don't get it.
Pure madness, pure madness. Let's just follow these stories, continue to see how it plays out. Our heart goes out to anyone who's suffering, under what's happening in Nigeria or wherever else. But hopefully it gets resolved. It's funny, like, people complain Trump is, this, that, the other. I think he genuinely cares about protecting innocent lives. And you're not going to convince me otherwise, even if you, hate this, that, the other thing he did. That seems to me very clear and apparent. So let's see how this plays out in Nigeria. Heart go out to those folks. Very interesting. Zoran Mamdani poised to win the mayor of New York. My guess is within 6 months to 1 year. Everybody regrets it. When the city is dirtier, it's less safe. Police have been replaced by, this is one of his other policies. He wants to replace police coming to domestic violence calls and having instead social workers intervene of a man beating his wife. So, tell him, make it make sense. It'll never make sense to me, but this is the world that we're living in. If free buses was worth it to you, if saving a little bit on your groceries at this free grocery store that won't probably work out anyway, if that's worth it to you, then, make the trade-off. But there's still time to vote, guys. They're still time to prove Polymarket wrong. Does Polymarket ever get it wrong, though? Has Polymarket been wrong on these big predictions, like, in years? I don't know. Seems to always get it right.
Not too often.
Oh, boy. All right, ladies and gents. Well, we'll try to keep it positive. Hopefully tomorrow we have a little bit more positive stuff to talk about, so maybe crypto-related stuff to talk about. We are once again veering off into the political, but it's all connected, guys. It's all interrelated, so don't forget that. And again, you come on here to learn, have fun, and maybe enjoy life a little bit together. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, $1,000 up for grabs. $1,000. Everyone here is in the running. I mean, Bagito's here, Martin's here. You guys are poised to win some money. I suggest other people get involved, get active, watch the streams, participate, like, comment, share, subscribe, win your share of the $1,000 every month. And until tomorrow, guys, we will see you on the beach.